Welcome to the Golden State, a land synonymous with dreams, innovation, and boundless opportunity. California, the world's fifth largest economy, a beacon of progress that has shaped global culture and technology. For generations, people have flocked here, drawn by the promise of a better life, a chance to reinvent themselves and pursue their deepest ambitions. But what if this golden dream is quietly turning into a nightmare and nobody's paying attention? What if beneath the shimmering surface of prosperity and progress, fundamental fractures are deepening, threatening to unravel the very fabric of this iconic state? This isn't about the latest celebrity scandal or a minor political squabble. This is about deep-seated systemic issues that are eroding California's foundations, piece by painstaking piece. It's a crisis largely ignored, overshadowed by the very sheen that makes California so captivating. Join us as we uncover California's ticking time bomb, the crisis nobody's talking about. The Golden State's fading shine. California. The name itself evokes images of endless summers, technological breakthroughs, and a vibrant, forward-thinking society. It's a state that boasts a GDP exceeding $3.8 trillion, making it an economic powerhouse larger than all but four nations. It's the birthplace of the internet, the global leader in entertainment, and a titan of agriculture, producing over $50 billion in agricultural commodities annually. This is the California we know, the California we admire, the California that seems perpetually on the cutting edge. Yet, beyond the curated postcards and the dazzling success stories, a different reality is taking hold. The infrastructure that supports this economic marvel is groaning under the weight of decades of neglect. The natural resources that have fueled its growth are dwindling, strained by both climate and unchecked demand. The promise of prosperity, once seemingly available to all, is becoming increasingly elusive for a growing segment of its population. The very qualities that have defined California for generations, its resilience, its innovation, its boundless optimism, are being put to the ultimate test. Consider the data. California's population has been in decline for the past few years, a stark reversal from its historic growth trajectory. In 2023, the state's population decreased by 2.02%, following a similar trend in previous years. This might seem like a small percentage, but for a state historically defined by inward migration, it signifies a profound shift. This isn't just a statistical blip. It's a symptom of deeper structural issues that are making life in California unsustainable for many. The dream, once vibrant and accessible, now appears to be fading for a significant portion of its residents. The infrastructure meltdown beyond the potholes. Imagine the arteries and veins of a vast, complex organism. In California, these vital lifelines, our roads, bridges, dams, pipes, and power lines, are not just aging, they are actively failing. This isn't merely about inconvenient potholes or traffic delays. It's a systemic breakdown with profound economic and safety implications. The American Society of Civil Engineers, in its 2022 report card for California's infrastructure, gave the state a dismal overall grade of D. Let's break down the details. Water systems. California's water infrastructure is a relic of the mid-20th century, largely built in the post-war boom. Many of its pipes are over 50 years old, with some even predating World War II. The consequence? An estimated 10% to 15% of treated water is lost annually due to leaks in aging pipes. This translates to billions of gallons wasted each year, a critical loss in a state perpetually grappling with drought. Furthermore, many of California's 1,200 dams are aging, with some requiring significant upgrades or repairs. A 2017 study by the Association of State Dam Safety Officials found that California has 1,650 high-hazard potential dams, meaning their failure could cause loss of life. The vulnerability of these systems to seismic activity, a constant threat in California, adds another terrifying layer to this silent crisis. Outdated water treatment plants struggle to meet modern purity standards, leading to boil water advisories in some smaller communities. The cost to replace or upgrade California's aging water infrastructure is estimated to be in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Energy grid. California's electrical grid is a precarious network, prone to strain and increasingly a source of catastrophic wildfires. Portions of the grid, particularly in rural and wildland-urban interface areas, utilize infrastructure dating back to the early 20th century. Power outages are not just inconveniences. They're increasingly common and sometimes prolonged. In 2023, California experienced over 14,000 significant power outages, affecting millions of residents. The primary concern, however, is the link between aging transmission lines and devastating wildfires. Pacific Gas and Electric Company, or PG&E, California's largest utility, has faced billions of dollars in liabilities due to its equipment sparking fires. For example, the 2018 Camp Fire, the deadliest in California history, was primarily caused by PG&E transmission lines, resulting in 85 fatalities and over $16 billion in damages. The grid's inherent vulnerabilities, combined with extreme weather, create a deadly feedback loop. Upgrading this grid to be more resilient and fire-resistant is projected to cost tens of billions of dollars. Transportation networks. While California is famous for its freeways, many of these vital arteries are in a state of disrepair. According to TRIP, a national transportation research nonprofit, 35% of California's major roads are in poor condition, costing motorists an average of $899 per year in extra vehicle repairs and operating costs due to driving on rough surfaces. Bridges fare only slightly better, with approximately 11% of California's 26,000 bridges classified as structurally deficient or functionally obsolete as of 2023, meaning they require significant repair or replacement. The congestion on California's roads is legendary, costing the state's economy an estimated $40 billion annually in lost productivity and wasted fuel. Public transportation, while present in major urban centers, often suffers from underinvestment and fragmentation, making it less attractive as a viable alternative for many commuters. The state's ambitious high-speed rail project, initially envisioned to connect major cities, has faced enormous cost overruns and delays, with its estimated cost soaring from an initial $33 billion to over $100 billion for the current scale-back segment. The Exodus: Why Californians Are Fleeing. For decades, the narrative was simple. People moved California. It was a magnet for opportunity, the land where dreams took flight. But that narrative has fundamentally shifted. For the past 3 years, California has experienced a net outbound migration, meaning more people are leaving the state than are moving in. According to U.S. Census Bureau data, California's population declined by approximately 975,400 residents between July 2022 and July 2023. While natural growth still keeps the total population relatively stable, the significant outmigration, particularly of middle and lower income earners, reveals a profound disenchantment. This isn't just a statistical anomaly. It's a brain drain and a middle-class flight that has severe long-term implications. Why are Californians fleeing the Golden State? The reasons are multifaceted, but they overwhelmingly converge on one central point. The exorbitant cost of living has made the California dream increasingly unattainable for ordinary working families. Unaffordable housing. This is perhaps the most significant driver of the exodus. The median home price in California reached an all-time high of approximately $830,000 in April 2024, nearly 2.5 times the national median of roughly $330,000. Rent prices are equally punishing. The median rent for a two-bedroom apartment in California averaged over $2,800 per month in early 2024, far exceeding the national average. This astronomical cost of shelter means that even high earners struggle to afford a decent home, while lower and middle-income families are simply priced out. The result? A spiraling homelessness crisis. California accounts for approximately 30% of the nation's homeless population, with over 510,000 individuals experiencing homelessness on any given night in 2023, according to HUD data. This isn't just an urban problem. It's a pervasive issue in many communities, transforming public spaces and straining social services. High cost of living beyond housing. It's not just housing. California's residents face higher costs for nearly every basic necessity. Gasoline prices consistently rank among the highest in the nation, often $1 to $2 per gallon higher than the national average. Utility bills, particularly electricity, are significantly higher due to grid upgrades, climate change mitigation efforts, and the legacy of utility bankruptcies. Food prices, transportation costs, and even childcare are all notably elevated compared to the national average. A 2023 analysis by the Council for Community and Economic Research found that the cost of living index in Los Angeles, for example, is 49% higher than the national average, and in San Francisco, it's an astounding 80% higher. Tax burden and regulatory environment. California has one of the highest state income tax rates in the nation, with a top marginal rate of 13.3%. Combined with sales taxes, property taxes, though limited by Prop 13, recent reassessments impact new buyers, and various fees, the overall tax burden can feel suffocating. Businesses also face a complex and often stringent regulatory environment, leading some to relocate to states with more favorable business climates. A 2023 study by the Hoover Institution found that California has been losing businesses to other states at an accelerating rate, contributing to a decline in job opportunities in some sectors. Diminished quality of life. Beyond the financial squeeze, many former Californians cite a declining quality of life. Increased traffic congestion, visible homelessness, perceived increases in crime in some areas, and the sheer environmental degradation from wildfires and drought contribute to a sense of exhaustion and disillusionment. While California still offers unparalleled natural beauty and cultural vibrancy, these benefits are increasingly weighed against the daily struggles of simply existing in the state. Anecdotal evidence from individuals who have left California paints a clear picture. Many recount stories of being unable to afford a home, despite stable employment. Others describe feeling trapped by the cost of living, unable to save for retirement or provide their children with the same opportunities they once had. They are moving to states like Texas, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, and Florida, where housing is more affordable, taxes are lower, and a perceived better work-life balance is possible. Wildfire and wreckage. The climate's deadly grip. The images are seared into our collective memory. Skies turned orange, entire towns engulfed in flames, a devastating trail of ash and destruction. Wildfires have become an annual, terrifying ritual in California, escalating in frequency, intensity, and destructiveness over the past 2 decades. While often attributed to natural causes, these conflagrations are increasingly framed as a symptom of a larger, escalating crisis driven by climate change and decades of inadequate forest management, putting immense strain on California's already fragile systems. The statistics are sobering. 7 of the 10 largest wildfires in California history have occurred since 2017. The 2020 fire season alone saw over 4.3 million acres burned, a record-breaking figure. The 2018 Camp Fire, as mentioned earlier, became the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in state history, killing 85 people and destroying over 18,000 structures. The total economic cost of wildfires in California is staggering, often reaching tens of billions of dollars annually, encompassing property damage, suppression costs, health impacts, and lost economic activity. Insurance markets are reeling, with many insurers refusing to renew policies in high-risk areas or significantly increasing premiums, further exacerbating the housing crisis and driving residents out. The connection to climate change is undeniable. Rising global temperatures contribute to longer, hotter, and drier fire seasons. California has experienced a significant increase in average temperatures, particularly in the summer months. A 2020 study published in the journal Nature Communications found that human-caused climate change has more than doubled the area burned by forest fires in California since 1970. Prolonged drought conditions, which we discuss in Chapter 3, turn vast tracts of land and vegetation into tinderboxes, ready to ignite with single spark. The state snowpack, a crucial water source, has seen an average decline of 10% in the past century, with some years experiencing much larger drops, leading to earlier snowmelt and drier conditions later in the season. Compounding the climate factor are critical forest management issues. Decades of fire suppression policies have led to an accumulation of dense undergrowth and dead trees, creating immense fuel loads. While efforts are underway to implement controlled burns and forest thinning, the scale of the problem is enormous. The wildland-urban interface, where communities abut forests, is expanding rapidly, putting more homes and lives directly in harm's way. The Great Divide, wealth poverty, and the growing chasm. California, the land of innovation and immense wealth, is also a state grappling with an increasingly stark and morally troubling divide between its rich and its poor. The concentration of wealth in booming sectors like technology and entertainment has created unprecedented affluence for some, but has simultaneously widened the chasm for a significant portion of the population struggling to afford basic necessities. This isn't just an economic issue. It's a profound societal one that threatens the state's stability and social cohesion. The statistics paint a grim picture. California has the highest poverty rate in the United States when factoring in the cost of living. The California Poverty Measure, CPM, which accounts for housing costs and other expenses, estimated that 13.2% of Californians, approximately 5.1 million people, lived in poverty between 2021 and 2023, compared to the national average of around 11.5% using the same methodology. This means that despite its economic might, California struggles to ensure a basic standard of living for a substantial segment of its population. The tech boom, while generating immense wealth and innovation, has undeniably played a role in exacerbating this inequality. The rapid growth of high-paying jobs in tech hubs like Silicon Valley has driven up housing costs, rent, and the overall cost of living, pushing out individuals and families whose wages haven't kept pace. The median household income in California was approximately $84,900 in 2022, higher than the national average of $74,580. However, this average masks extreme disparities. The top 10% of earners in California take home nearly 10 times more than the bottom 10%, according to a 2023 report by the California Budget and Policy Center. This growing income inequality is one of the highest in the nation. The most visible manifestation of this great divide is the escalating homelessness crisis, which we touched upon earlier. With over 510,000 homeless individuals, California's streets and parks have become de facto encampments. This isn't just about mental health or addiction, though those are often compounding factors. It's fundamentally an issue of housing affordability and economic displacement. The average wage required to afford a modest two-bedroom apartment in California is $42.25 per hour, far exceeding the state's minimum wage of $16 per hour as of 2024. For many low-wage workers, even working full-time, the dream of a stable home remains out of reach. Beyond housing, the lack of access to affordable health care and robust social services further strain struggling families. While California has expanded Medi-Cal, its Medicaid program, and implemented other social safety nets, the sheer scale of need often outstrips available resources. Public schools in many economically disadvantaged areas face funding shortfalls, perpetuating educational inequities. The middle class, once the backbone of the state, is shrinking. Many middle-income jobs, such as teaching, nursing, and civil service, simply do not pay enough to afford a comfortable life in California. The unseen costs. What this means for America. It's easy to view California's mounting problems as isolated, a consequence of its unique geography, politics, or demographics. But to do so would be a grave mistake. California's crisis is not just a California problem. It's an American one. The sheer scale of its economy, its cultural influence, and its strategic importance mean that what happens in California inevitably reverberates across the entire nation. First, consider California's economic contribution. As previously mentioned, California's GDP of over $3.8 trillion makes it the world's fifth largest economy. It contributes an astounding 14.7% to the total U.S. GDP. A significant downturn in California's economy, perhaps triggered by a major infrastructure failure, a prolonged and widespread wildfire season, or a mass exodus of the workforce, will have catastrophic ripple effects across the entire American economy. Supply chains that rely on California's agricultural bounty or its port infrastructure would be disrupted. Investment in startups and technological innovation, much of which originates in California, could slow. The state's tax revenues, which contribute significantly to federal coffers, could decline. The economic impact will be felt from Wall Street to Main Street. Secondly, The brain drain and the outmigration of talent from California represent a potential loss for the entire U.S. As highly skilled workers, entrepreneurs, and established companies seek more affordable and stable environments, they take their intellectual capital, their job-creating potential, and their tax contributions with them. While these individuals and companies may relocate to other states, the cumulative effect of a diminished innovation hub in California could impact America's global competitiveness, particularly in critical sectors like technology, renewable energy, and biotechnology. The U.S. relies on California to be a global leader in these fields. Thirdly, the environmental impact of California's issues extends far beyond its borders. The escalating intensity and frequency of wildfires in California contribute to air pollution that can drift across multiple states. Smoke from California fires has been detected as far east as the Rocky Mountains and even the East Coast. The long-term implications of climate change, so starkly visible in California's drought cycles and fire seasons, serve as a potent warning for the entire nation. If California, with its vast resources and scientific expertise, struggles to adapt and mitigate these environmental challenges, it sets a concerning precedent for other vulnerable regions of the U.S. and the world. Furthermore, there are significant political and demographic implications. California's large population grants it significant political power, with 52 electoral votes and a substantial delegation in Congress. Shifts in its population, particularly the exodus of the middle class, could alter its political landscape and influence national policy debates. As Californians relocate, they bring their experiences and perspectives to new communities, potentially influencing local economies and social structures across the country. The path forward: hope, action, or collapse. The picture we've painted is stark, revealing deep-seated vulnerabilities that challenge the very notion of the California dream. The ticking time bomb is real, and the stakes are immense. But while the challenges are formidable, California's history is also one of innovation, resilience, and a remarkable ability to adapt. The question now is, will the state rise to meet this existential challenge, or will its mounting crises lead to an inevitable decline? There is no single silver bullet, but rather a multifaceted approach required to defuse this ticking time bomb. This isn't just about government policy. It's about technological innovation, community resilience, and a fundamental shift in mindset from short-term fixes to long-term sustainable solutions. Technological innovations. California is uniquely positioned to leverage its technological prowess. In the face of water scarcity, investments in advanced water, recycling, and desalination technologies are crucial. While energy-intensive, projects like the Claude Bud Lewis Carlsbad desalination plant, which provide approximately 50 million gallons of drinking water per day, demonstrate viable pathways. Smart grid technologies, integrating renewable energy sources, and developing advanced battery storage systems can enhance energy reliability and reduce wildfire risks. California leads a nation in renewable energy development, with over 36% of its electricity coming from renewable sources in 2023, a significant step towards a more resilient grid. Further investment in carbon capture and storage and sustainable agriculture practices, like precision irrigation, can also mitigate environmental impacts. Policy reforms and funding. A sustained massive investment in infrastructure is non-negotiable. The state's 2021 infrastructure package, allocating $15 billion for roads, bridges, and public transit, is a start, but it's a fraction of the estimated $600 billion needed over the next decade to bring infrastructure to a state of good repair. Creative funding mechanisms, including public-private partnerships and federal grants, are essential. Addressing the housing crisis requires bold policy reforms. Streamlining zoning regulations, incentivizing high-density housing near transit hubs, and investing in affordable housing programs. Reducing regulatory burdens on businesses while maintaining environmental protections could also help stem the exodus. The state's commitment to building 2.5 million new homes by 2030, while ambitious, is a necessary target. Community resilience and local initiatives. Beyond top-down solutions, local communities are vital. Programs that encourage defensible space around homes in fire-prone areas, community-led water conservation efforts, and grassroots initiatives to support the homeless population demonstrate tangible action. Philanthropic organizations and nonprofits play a critical role in filling gaps in public services and fostering community cohesion. Building social capital and empowering local leaders can create a powerful force for change. Political will and public engagement. Ultimately, the path forward hinges on political will and informed public engagement. Addressing these crises requires difficult choices, significant financial commitments, and a willingness to transcend partisan divides. It demands a long-term vision, even if the immediate political benefits are not apparent. Educating the public about the interconnectedness of these issues, fostering a sense of shared responsibility, and demanding accountability from elected officials are paramount. Citizens must understand that these are not just abstract problems, but threats to their safety, economic well-being, and future.